I rarely talk about this here on YouTube, but the very first way how I made money was not with crypto, it was way earlier than that, it was with online poker. I paid my study fees with online poker. I played this for 2 years professionally in Gibraltar, and there are a lot of similarities between online poker and crypto, and we can see this now with the Trump token as well. Because here's what I learned. There are levels to the game. There is level thinking. The first level thinking is that the Trump token is now up because we got the news of this dinner, right? That the top meme coin holders have a dinner with Trump. So that seems to be the easy way out. That's what's explaining everything apparently. And that's probably the news that you've already heard about, right? If you're holding Trump token, you get invited into an event. But actually things go way deeper than that. When the Trump token initially got launched, we saw all of those purchases on chain. People bought the Trump token directly on Solana. Now over time, we saw more and more of that liquidity moving to the market makers and to the centralized exchanges. So the trading activity directly on Solana went down massively. Thus, the price action is way more dependent on what the market makers decide. Now, why does that matter? It matters because if the retail investor in aggregate is very bearish on Trump, if most people think that the Trump token is going down, then the market makers can squeeze the token, right? They can buy up a lot of the supply and make those people liquidated. You can think about it this way. Let's say you're a sports betting house and you offer bets on, say, a soccer match. Right? You're just offering neutral bets. But at the same time, you bought the referee. You've got an influence on what the ending of the game will look like. That's pretty much what happens all the time in crypto. So we've got the bets on the price. We've got the perpetual futures market, right? People betting on rising or falling prices with leverage. And then we've got the spot market where the actual price is determined. Now, if enough people bet on falling prices, but then the market makers also own a lot of the supply, then they can simply pump up the price even further because there isn't that much more liquid supply out there. It doesn't take that much money to move the price, but there will be a lot of liquidations, and the liquidations are direct profit for those people. And so that's then the second level thinking, right? The first level thinking is there's just news and that's what's pushing up the price. The second level thinking is that there were too many short positions open and that those news just got taken advantage of, that there was an opportunity of the market makers to pump up the price quickly. Because how else can it be explained that the Trump token relative to Solana appreciated by 75% in the span of just a few minutes? How can it be explained that the market cap adds several hundred millions of dollars just because of a single event? Is a dinner event really worth hundreds of millions of dollars? Now, if you've been following this channel, you know that I like to look for those short opportunities, right? I like to look for tokens that are likely going to go down. Thus, I also have a lot of people that message me regularly that ask me, does it make sense to short token A or token B? And a lot of people in the last weeks asked me, does it make sense to short Trump? And the reason was the tokenomics. It's the unlock schedule. I don't trust just in random coincidence. I think that the Trump token is getting squeezed because of the recent unlock for team members. And that unlock was the reason why so many people shorted the token. So that's again first level thinking, right? First level thinking is the supply increases, thus the price has to further come down. Second level thinking is because too many people bet already on falling prices because of that unlock, we will see a short squeeze, and we will also see probably news around Trump, right? Because the team wants to get out. The team wants the short squeeze. I don't think it's a coincidence that this news comes out just a few days after the token unlock. This has all been well planned. And I actually even talked about this on this channel before. Again, if you're following this channel for a while, you know that I talked about a potential short squeeze in Trump and that it's rather dangerous at that time, at least, to bet on falling prices of the token. We want to bet on falling prices of altcoins where there are not a lot of other short positions. Again, the more people short the token, the more attractive it becomes to manipulate the price to the upside. For example, this here, right? Shorting Balancer relative to Bitcoin long term is a pretty straightforward bet. This is also expanding supply over time. It gets liquidity mined and that gets directly sold off. And so especially relative to Bitcoin or relative to Ethereum, prices like this just continue to go down all the time. The risk to the upside isn't really that large. Now there's the argument that this dinner announcement could now show that the Trump token is not just a joke and it's completely forgotten, but that there's actually real utility behind the value. But again, I've got my doubts around this story. I think that's first level thinking again. In poker, we learn that we have to think about what our opponent is thinking. So if our opponent thinks that we are strong, then we can bluff. If our opponent thinks we are weak, then we have to play rather straightforward. If our opponent thinks that they can push us out of a hand just by being very aggressive, just by raising, then if we have nothing, we should re-raise, because then the opponent is likely going to fold. If you think that the Trump token now has value because there's some utility, then have a look at the VFriends NFT by Gary Vee. A lot of hype at the beginning, an exclusive event with all kinds of interesting perks, but still that NFT deflated massively. And this was actually one of the success stories in the NFT space. So be very careful who you follow. Try to figure out how deep is the understanding of the people you listen to. I am sharing my trades to a premium community. The link is down below. It's thebitcoinstrader.com. And of course, we also made money with this Trump pump. If you are more actively trading, then feel free to check out the premium membership. The link is down below. It's thebitcoinstrader.com. We are also making money with this Trump pump and dump. So this is pretty much playing out exactly the way as we expected. A like would be very much appreciated as well. It helps the channel grow. See you next time on YouTube or see you in premium. Cheers.